Well, for years, animal agriculture has been a driver of economic growth across Indiana, but an unforeseen consequence of that growth could be damaging the environment. As part of our City Limits series, reporter Brock Turner looks into the impact cattle have on the environment and what role consumers can play.
It's a simple question with a less than simple answer. The majority of those greenhouse gases come from large animals, like cattle and lamb. The animals graze on a large amount of grasses, and here in Indiana and throughout the Midwest, their diets are often supplemented with large quantities of grains. In addition to the resources they consume, cattle also release methane gas into the air through burping and flatulence. The burping is a far greater source of greenhouse gases. Purdue University Climate Research Center Director Jeff Dukes says Americans are consuming significantly more meat today than they did even 50 years ago, and that's putting a strain on the global supply chain.
And, even if you went back 50 years, people in the U.S. ate much less meat than they do today. If we get down to those levels where people are eating meat at the rate we did 50 years ago, that's getting a lot closer to sustainability.
But he's not trying to keep people from eating meat entirely. Dukes admits his son is a big fan of cheeseburgers.
Cutting down a little bit is pretty easy. Just thinking every once in a while about not having a cheeseburger, not having a steak, switching to a more environmentally friendly option. That's a pretty easy thing to do once.
He says estimates show about 18% of current greenhouse gases come from large animals like cattle. But a UN climate change report published earlier this year says raising meat requires more land and water resources than plants. But Jamie Hodgen believes that statistic doesn't tell the full story. She grew up around cows and comes from a family of farmers and ranchers in New Mexico. She's currently raising her own on a farm in Roachdale and studies them professionally as a food scientist.
As people get concerned about our cattle having an impact on the environment in a way that we can't overcome, I wish they would come and talk to us.
Hodgen says conservation is top of mind for her and other meat producers.
We're each trying to utilize the resources that we have in our area to raise our cattle. And so because in a lot of cases conservation means survival for the next year, having enough grass so that our cows can eat over the winter and other things, we do try to do what's right in terms of, making sure that the land is available for my kids to come back.
She finds it hard to believe that plant-based alternatives will have an impact on her operation. The plant-based market is growing and fast. That's perhaps best illustrated in Shelby County, across the state from Hodgen's farm in Roachdale. Chicago-based Greenleaf Foods recently announced it would build the largest plant-based protein production facility in North America here.
We started the process about a year and a half ago as we recognized where this category was going and our commitment to invest in adding more capacity into the system. So we knew we needed to build another facility, and we did extensive studies trying to figure out where was the best place.
Curtin says the facility's central location will contribute to the company's conservation pledge and help in the creation of new products. In addition to a shift in consumer tastes, he believes the taste of the products themselves keep people coming back.
We actually did some product tastings down in Shelbyville. We had a barbecue down there, and we had a number of people from the town come, and they were incredibly impressed with the quality of product, the type of products that it was, and it was a bit of surprise yourself. This category is changing so rapidly. There's no doubt that this is a trend. It's not a fad. People are looking for options. They're looking for alternatives. Our plant-based food products give them those options.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice surprise.
And most admit the taste has gotten better. Among them is Shelbyville's Director of Economic Development, Brian Asher.
It really, it tastes like a normal burger, and it was really good. They were nice enough to donate to a mayor's luncheon that we had out in our downtown.
Despite all of the growth in the plant-based segment, Hodgen says farmers and ranchers should do a better job communicating what she calls a net positive impact on the environment.
When you put a pound of corn into a ruminant animal that has a very cool digestive system that can make a higher quality protein, you actually end up with a lower calorie, higher quality product with all of your digestible amino acids that you're not going to find if you're looking at plant-based as a nutritional substitute for beef.
Dukes says many of the analyses he's read don't necessarily agree, and instead state that plant-based alternatives have a lower impact on the environment than beef products. But nearly everyone agrees the plant-based industry is a substitute rather than a threat to the meat industry. Greenleaf is an independent subsidiary of Maple Leaf Foods, a packaged meat company.
We do not see this impacting the meat business. We see this just expanding how people find protein. People are looking for options of protein. They should have their steak, they should have their chicken, they should have their fish, whatever means that they have. We believe, do anything you want, but do it in moderation.
Hodgins says the impact animals in agriculture as a whole have on their communities is priceless.
We haven't done a good job of sharing all the awesome things that the ag industry in a whole does to ensure that we have schools in rural areas and hospitals in rural areas, not to mention keeping the land productive so that you can have affordable food.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.